Hi guys, today we're gonna study the first lecture of the physics standard 11, which is units of measurements. So in this chapter, first topic which we're gonna study is the fundamental units, or we can say fundamental quantity and its units. So as we all know that the first thing, what is a fundamental unit? Fundamental units means it's the basic units which we use to measure something. Like we say, give me the 5 kg of this sugar. Let's take example. Give me 5 kg of sugars, or 5 kg of the 5 kg of salt. So what is that kg? Kg, it is the, we can say it is the term which we use to measure something. So for the every physical quantity there is a different units. Like for the weight or any solid substance, we use these units like kg, grams. So this indicates that there is something heavy things which we are working on it, right? So let's take an example like fundamental units. The first thing is the length. Length, we all know, the we measure it in meters or in kilometers. So the, we can say the basic unit is the meter. So fundamental units for the length is the meter, and for the mass is the kg, and for the time is second, for the temperature Kelvin, or sometimes we use Celsius, degree Celsius. For the electric current it's ampere, and for the luminous intensity it's candela, and for amount of substance we use is mole, and the symbol is MOL. So these are the 7 fundamental units which we use and which we gonna use in the physical, in the chemistry, in the physics for the lectures. So these units you all have to remember. And the next one is the derived quantity. I'm not going into the deep because you all know what is the units, and just this is the basic lecture which we're gonna use in the basic, which we're gonna use in the future lecture. So what is the derived quantity and units? Derived quantity, it is the physical quantity which is gonna derive from the fundamental units and its quantity. So let's take an example. Like first is the velocity. Velocity is equal to displacement upon time. So how can we derive its units? How can we derive the units of the velocity? So we can break it down into displacement upon time. So we know the displacement, it is some kind of length, and time we already know it's the unit of the time is the second. So we can derive the units of velocity by meter per second, or we can say meter with second raised to -1. So this is the unit of the velocity. So how we derived it? By using the fundamental units. So fundamental units we're gonna use to derive the units of the larger physical quantity, like velocity, not physical quantity, it is for the larger quantity. For the momentum, so we don't know the units of the momentum. हमें नहीं पता कि momentum की unit क्या है. So that's why we're gonna use the fundamental units. We're gonna break it down and then we can derive the units. So momentum का formula क्या है? Mass into velocity. Mass का units पता है हमें, velocity we know. So kg is the unit of the mass and the meter per second is the unit of the velocity. So indirectly we can derive the unit of momentum, which is kg with meter with second raised to -1. This is the unit of momentum. Next topic is the supplementary unit, जिसमें पहला है प्लेन एंगल एंड दूसरा है सॉलिड एंगल. सो व्हाट इज प्लेन एंगल? लेट्स कंसिडर ये एक पॉइंट है. ओके, ये एक पॉइंट है और ये एक आर्क है. ओके, सो जो आर्क का लेंथ है वो है s, और ये जो एंगल है उसको कंसिडर करते हैं हम थीटा. और जो आर्क से इस पॉइंट तक का डिस्टेंस है वो है r. सो हाउ कैन वी डिराइव दिस, हाउ कैन वी फाइंड दिस प्लेन एंगल? तो उसका फॉर्मूला है डी थीटा बाय डी एस अपॉन आर. डी थीटा इज इक्वल टू डी एस अपॉन आर. जो इसकी यूनिट्स है वो है रेडियंस, मीन्स, और रेडियंस को हम डिग्री में भी कन्वर्ट कर सकते हैं, जिसका फॉर्मूला होता है रेडियंस इसका फॉर्मूला होता है रेडियंस इज इक्वल टू 180 बाय पाई. आई एग्जैक्टली डोंट रिमेंबर व्हाट इज़ द फॉर्मूला फॉर इट, बट द रेडियंस को हम डिग्री में कन्वर्ट कर सकते हैं, एंड फ्रॉम डिग्री वी कैन कंक्लूड द व्हाट इज़ द एंगल, बिकॉज जनरली we measure angle in degrees. So from radius we can convert it into degrees and we can get the angle which is theta. The next one is the solid angle, which is this. So I'm gonna scroll it up. Okay. Next one is the solid angle. Solid angle, it is the angle to find in the three-dimensional. Let's consider this is the sphere. Okay, in this picture you can't see the proper sphere, but let's consider you have a ball in your hand. Okay, so if I tell you what is the angle at the center, what is the solid angle at its center, so how can we find it? So there is a formula which is d, I think it's epsilon. D epsilon is equal to d a upon r square, where a is the surface area of that sphere, we know the formula, and r is the radius. So the formula is d epsilon is equal to dA by r square. We know the area, we know the r square. That's how we can find the solid angle at the center of the sphere. So these are the two things which we have to remember: plane angle and the solid angle. So now we have covered the three topics, which is fundamental units, fundamental units, next one derived quantities and its units, and the supplementary units. We have covered the three topics by now. Next topic is the measurement of the length. So we all know, like, if we draw some line, we can measure it by using the scale, which is the scale in which there is it is divided into centimeters. From generally we have the scale in which there are 15 to 60 centimeters points on it, so we can calculate. But if we want to measure the biggest length or the bigger length, like from the sun to earth, okay, from sun to earth, how can we measure it? Though, so there is no any such big scale by which we can measure it. Okay, तो हम उस केसेस में कुछ मेथड से जिसे हम यूज़ करते हैं. ओके, और वहाँ पे कुछ स्टैंडर्ड यूनिट्स भी है जो पहले के साइंटिस्ट ने डिराइव करके कुछ मेज़र करके रखे हुए. तो दे आर फर्स्ट 2-3 टर्म्स विच वी शुड नो. First is 1 AU. 1 AU is 1 astronomical units, which is equal to 1.496 into 10 raised to 11 meters. Okay, and what is AU astronomical units? It is the distance between the centers of the sun and the earth. Let's consider